universe, where you learn the secrets of the social media through the social universe, and in many cases the secrets of the universe itself. And one of the secrets of the universe we're talking about is how to hold on to your wealth once you have gained it. People who become wealthy begin to find out they have to earn their money twice. Once they have to earn it, and then they have to hold on to it. So the same with business owners, is that once they create a business, it's great to have it created. Now they got to hold on to that business through risk management, and that's where LeBaron and Carroll specializes. So anybody who is interested, before we get started, Don, give us ways that people might be able to contact you or go to your website to learn a little bit more about that.
You bet. Thank you, Kurt. Yeah, we LeBaron and Carroll, we've been in Arizona. Like you say, actually it's about 52 years. We're in our 53rd year.
Okay.
And we have our office is in Mesa, and our phone number to that office is 480-834-9315.
One more time.
480-834-9315. And we're welcome to talk to us. Our specialty has been risk management. We don't just want to sell a policy. We actually believe what's more important than having something that's going to pay in case of a loss is to see if we can't prevent that loss from ever occurring in the first place.
Absolutely.
So
now you guys have seminars that they can come to as well if they want to, take an hour out of their time. You'll feed them lunch and the whole thing, and then a business owner can become educated about all the different ways to prevent this from happening, and it's all complimentary. They're not going to be sold anything at the event.
Thank you very much for that, for reminding you that we do a seminary just about every Wednesday. And if you call into the office, we can put you on the list to have you come, and we want to know about you so we can have some lunch for you when you come. Mm-hmm. The seminars are at noon, and we wrap up at 1:30 almost religiously with the information.
Excellent.
We don't want to kill you with all this information. we do want you to go away with a heightened awareness and with an understanding so that you can be smarter about this risk and with some tools on how you can deal with it.
Absolutely. So going back to what we were saying, where I beg to differ on one very small aspect of what Don was saying, is that thieves actually there's a food chain of people who feed on this information. So when something is stolen out of the cloud through your server, or physically, sometimes they actually will break in and just steal the server. So some people actually starting to put their servers into very, very high security data centers. In fact, we're going to talk about data centers a little bit later on. And so now at least there's a transfer of liability to the data center. So as long as you have your passwords and everything taken care of, you can even have armed guards that are at the data center guarding specifically your server, if you really want to be able to tell that to your customers, and also tell that to any of the data breach lawsuits that are coming your way. It's just a great way to prevent a liability later on. So, but as you go up the food chain, the first level is they'll go into the cloud. They'll grab, or however they get the information from your company. They might just need some basic information, social security number, a few different parts of like the PII that Don was talking about in the first segment. Then they will sell that to a higher end of the food chain that then pieces that information together and will then become an imposter against your bank account or your credit card or whatever the case might be. And so they make billions and trillions of dollars off of the fraud against your bank account and against your credit cards, etc. And it just is limitless what they can actually do with that information. So the government has actually done a very good thing by making businesses become responsible. But if you are a business owner, you are responsible, and you need to listen to some of the rest of the things that Don shares with us. So Don, what are some pieces of good advice about how to protect yourself in the cloud?
Well, first of all, I find that's interesting that you say that the government has made it a good thing to make us responsible, and that's probably a true statement. But as a business owner,
it's painful.
It is painful, and sometimes it becomes political,
Mm-hmm.
and they can tend to look good to their constituents, kind of
Sure.
to some overkill. And there are several laws that are associated with this data breach, including state laws that usually have to deal with data breach notification issues.
Mm-hmm.
You also have several federal laws, including everyone hears about HIPAA, and HIPAA high-tech laws. You also have your red flag rules, and your and there's the Gramm-Leach-Bliley Act. Okay, these are all different laws associated with different types of transactions, and you're the responsibility you have to protect the data that you hold. Okay, now since they can't catch the bad guys, and they're very, very difficult to catch. All right, some of them are in Pakistan or other outside countries. All right, they can't catch these people, so we as the business owner become the bad guy. All right, and so even if they steal the data, and no one is specifically hurt by the data that was stolen. All right. When the Attorney General shows up at your office and he starts enforcing these laws, which most of us aren't even aware of what they require us to do, and most of us are not doing what's required by these laws, then the fines and fees and penalties start coming. And those can be as bad as the actual loss that occurs from the data itself, all right? So, and part of what we want to do in our training is when we make people aware of the laws is there are specific steps that are required, that the law requires you to do. I'll give you a couple simple ones. Every company is required to have a data security policy, all right, based on the data that they keep and they hold. What is your policy? How is that data handled? How is it stored? How is it passed around? Okay, there's a specific policy, a written policy, that if they walk in your office, you want to be able to hand it to them. All right, each employee should be trained and sign off on this on the security policy. All right, I could go over a number of other a number of other requirements of the law, but just to give a simple example, and for most businesses out there, if you were like we were even a year and a half ago. You probably aren't doing these things, okay, because you're not even where you're supposed to do them when it comes to your data security, okay? And so the data may be stolen and no one actually got hurt, you're not being sued, but because you didn't have your policy in place or because you didn't do proper notification when the breach occurred, you're going to hit with fees and fines and penalties, all right?
It is definitely a sad set of affairs, and again, the businesses aren't the ones that are criminals. It's the criminals that are they're having to protect against. Very frustrating, but nonetheless, it's a reality. It's like having to pay to put an alarm system on your business in a retail store. It's sad, but it's just something they have to do if you're going to keep hold of your inventory, or if you have other people's products inside of there, you're responsible for those products, and personal information (PII) is part of that. So. So the 2 or 3 things that they can do to protect themselves: come to the seminar, learn a lot of details about it. First of all. Second is there are insurances that they can purchase to be able to protect your company against this. But as insurances, as in anything, both the regulators and the insurances need to know that you did your due diligence ahead of time. So one of the things that LeBaron & Carroll has done is teamed up with an IT company that will begin that long journey toward true risk prevention is by beginning with PCI compliance. And that may sound like it's a very small aspect when compared against HIPAA and other things, but it's something that's very preventable. So if somebody is stealing credit card information and they kind of come in through the back door and you're not compliant with how you hold information, how you transact your credit cards, then you as a business owner can become liable for the fraud that's committed on those through those credit cards. Is that correct, Tom?
That is correct. I've talked to many people who do take credit cards, and they say, well, we never store it, we never keep it, we don't have record of it, so we don't feel like we have an issue here. What they don't realize is you may have an employee who's not been trained on these issues, and who may be has been contacted by someone on the outside who's looking to make a profit, and he's needing extra money, and they may be taking pictures of those credit cards with their phone, or they have different little tricks and things that they can do to grab that information. I can show you several situations where this was happening, and the employee was making as much as $10 for every credit card that they were able to steal and pass out. They were making more money, you see, from stealing the credit card than they were being paid by the company.
And they don't think how easy that is to track.
Well,
Once
usually
caught.
they're minors, so
Uh-huh.
they get their hands
Oh,
slapped.
I see what you're
all right.
saying. Gosh.
Okay.
Yeah.
But often, just because they are minors, if you had a good training program for your business,
Then they would
and they
understand
were
how serious it
signing
is.
off on how serious this is, they're gonna for sure think twice before they make an agreement to assist someone on the outside.
Absolutely. So that's part of the PCI compliance, and that's one of the things that LeBaron and Carroll offers as kind of a starting package as they get going with LeBaron and Carroll. What's the official name of the program again?
InfoSafe.
InfoSafe.
InfoSafe is
Okay.
the program that we do. As a matter of fact, if you follow the program, and we'll actually provide you a coach
Mhm.
so that we can make sure that every step is taken care of, including a vulnerability test where we will try to do a mock hack into your system and look for holes
Right.
in your system. But if you follow the program and pass the test, we will give you a certification. And this certification is one you can put on your website, and you can let your customers know that your information is valuable to us. We have spent time, money, and energy to protect it. And that's what that certification. And as long as you stay on top of the program and follow systems, you get to keep that certification. If you step out of alignment with what's required, we yank the certification.
There you go. So, and again, that certification, both from a regulatory standpoint and from the standpoint of removing liability, or at least fighting off the liability, is so important to have. It's worth its weight in gold, where you can show that this was not negligence. It was despite all you could do, and it's hard to pin a lawsuit on somebody who did everything they could do before it happened.
And the truth is, and that's a very, very, very good point, you're putting yourself in a defensible position, both with the regulators and with the third-party lawsuits. But also, studies show that 96% of all data breaches are avoidable with following preventative measures.
So it's true prevention
So
on top of that,
not
never
only
having the lawsuit
you're
in
really
the first
you're going to
place.
block out 90%, 96% of those UV rays.
Absolutely. Let's
You
get
know.
SPF. Sorry about the inside jokes, but yeah, because this isn't actually a joking matter. But we got to have fun with it because it is a little bit stressful thinking about it. But if you're a business owner out there and you haven't thought about this, so it's the least expensive way I know to actually take care of this and to take care of that nest egg. Again, if you're going to go through all the work to create that business and create that cash cow, you want to make sure you do everything to protect that and hold on to that. So, Dawn, I want to thank you for coming on the show. Again, give us your contact information, including any relevant website information so that people can contact you.
Okay, thank you very much. Don Carroll with LeBaron and Carroll. LeBaron and Carroll, all right. Our phone number is 480-834-9315, 480-834-9315, and I would welcome anybody to come to our little seminar. We'll give you a lunch with it and be happy to meet you in the process. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Don, for coming. Next segment, we are going to be talking about the cloud and what the cloud has brought to us. We already know that the cloud brought us Amazon. A lot of people may not know that Amazon is much, much more than just books. And it's actually a multi-billion-dollar industry net revenue-wise. And if you've ever wondered how you can get involved in that out there in the cloud, then stay tuned and we'll tune in just after the break.